Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Beautiful afternoon, you guys. Even though it's raining here where I am, the rain is coming down pretty good. Uh, it's been giving us a little bit every day for about 3 weeks now. You can't do anything about it. You just have to love the rain, enjoy it. It's a really great time of season right now because football is preparing, volleyball is preparing, kickball. No, I ain't no kickball, y'all. I'm just playing. I'm just being silly. They need to add kickball to high school athletics, though, man. I bet that would be really great. Uh, we'll see. Joining us today is somebody that I've grown a great fondness for. He is a trendsetter. He is a builder. He is a grower. He builds and grows through the love that he has for his game, his sport of choice. His weapon is a volleyball. Um, please welcome Brennon Coker, Covington Boys and Girls Volleyball. What's up, Coach? Welcome.
Thank you. How's it going?
Oh, it's great, Coach. It's great, man. Glad to be able to do this thing that I love. Once again, I guess I'm an interviewer now.
Yep.
Solely an interviewer, and I love it too, because you get to help people tell their story, and you have a very interesting story. Tell us a little bit about who Brennon Coker is.
Yeah, I'm from Bruley, Louisiana. I was born in Plaquemine, right down the road from there. I started getting into volleyball kind of in middle school, and I ended up having to move out to Dallas, Texas, to finish high school, and that's kind of where everything got started with volleyball for me, like officially. I was the student manager for Midlothian High School volleyball team. And I learned a lot. They have, premier level volleyball in Texas. So I just got to really learn a whole lot about the game and the fundamentals and the coaching and different things like that. So, yeah, that was kind of my high school career. And then I came back to LSU to do college and was fortunate enough to have a year with LSU's volleyball team. And that really kind of set the tone of my love for coaching and wanting to do something more with it. I started coaching club at Capital City and then moved on to Red Storm Volleyball at Baton Rouge before moving out here to Covington.
Okay,
So,
man, I did not know that. See, this is why coaches getting to tell their story is really great. See, I never would imagine you were from Brewery Plaquemine, uh, two really big sports cities, uh, and they're growing more and more every year. As a young kid, how did you know that volleyball was the sport that would drive you crazy more than anything?
I'm back. What I missed? Say it again.
Oh, I said, as a young kid, you said you fell in love with volleyball during middle school. How did you know that would be the sport that drove you crazy?
So my mom actually played volleyball for Plaquemine High. She's pretty good. She got the opportunity to join a little U.S. national team that was put together for, I think, like kind of the kids of Louisiana. And she went and competed over in Amsterdam. And it was just like a good opportunity for her. And that kind of was the driving force, behind me really loving volleyball. So.
Awesome, awesome. When you think about your journey or your path that you've had to take to get here, when I met you, I saw this guy who threw himself into what he was doing. Like I don't think I had seen a male coach with the passion that you showed when I first met you. And when I see Brennon Coker, I see a guy that's not loud, not boisterous, but is giving good quality information. Uh, Volleyball, non-traditional sport. Where do you guys go to get a better understanding and IQ of the game? Because it may not be televised a lot. There may not be a lot of video footage that you can go and get. And a lot of schools still aren't streaming or recording their games. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when like back when I was in high school, I loved the University of Texas, powerhouse university. I loved them. I loved Nebraska. Like just watching higher level volleyball, of course, always kind of gets you where you're going. And one thing I wanted to add too is, I did a lot of watching. Right, I was a manager in high school, so I didn't get to like play on the court a whole lot. Um, but just listening and watching the coaches and, understanding that if you want to be better, you have to be a student of the game first,
Right.
right? So, when I got here to Louisiana, there is a little bit of a gap between Texas volleyball and Louisiana volleyball. I think we're right on the tail end of it for sure, close to it, but it's still growing, right? So I had to find people who were better than myself, who had the answers, because I'm the first person to say, and even to my kids, right? I say all the time, I don't know the answers always, but I will definitely go in and inquire and figure it out.
Right.
And that's kind of what I got, through Donna Pixley, at Red Storm Baton Rouge. She's been a great mentor, and she's helped grow me as a person and as a coach. And that's kind of what you want. You find someone who's better than yourself, who's done it, who's walked those miles before you, and who's willing to give you the keys and the answers to it,
Right.
and yet hold you accountable for, what your shortcomings and in your victories. So that's kind of what I went for.
As a young coach, what
Say
was
that
your
one more time
biggest
for me.
fear? As a young coach, what was your biggest fear in leading a bunch of young ladies um, to understand skill set, understand building a better IQ for the game, and just teaching them how to create for themselves a work ethic? Because volleyball, in my opinion, is similar to basketball. You have to be able to do multiple things all at the same time. How do you create that environment in a practice setting?
I think it's important, especially as a male coach, that you know your place, right? Because you don't ever want the lines to be blurred, for one, between you and a player. But you still want them to know that you're there for them, that you love them, and that you meet them where they are. But yet you still have to hold them to a level of a standard, right? Like there's a standard in our gym at Covington High, and with me coming here last year, super super late, it was like already August, already season. It was kind of hard to set that standard, and we kind of just had to go through the motions, But
Right,
now that I've been here a year and they've had a summer with me, they understand now what I'm looking for.
right,
There's a standard in the gym, and sometimes we may fall short of it, but we always are striving to get to that standard.
right,
And it's making things competitive. It is making sure they know that in our gym, it's okay to fail, right? There's no scolding for um, simple things. If they're I'm gonna hold them, right? If we're being lazy, then that's one thing. But if we're trying something new, then I'm not gonna, chase them out the gym for it,
right.
if that makes sense.
When I just told a kid this yesterday that in losing you learn how to win.
Right.
Like, and that's a process. Like that's just a real life process. Can you explain you I can never Catholic point compete. I think that was one of that's been one of your stops. Going to a small school, limited resources as far as training, having the ability to get training equipment or all that you need. How are you guys able to maneuver and still be successful in that environment?
I think so. Catholic Point Compete, I love that stop the most. Like it really taught me a lot about being a coach. I will say I always like to tell people that I was not the best coach maybe at Catholic Point Compete. I was still learning. I was young.
Right,
It was a lot of trial and error. But I will say more than not that that is a community of hardworking people, and the kids showed it as well. So they were very resilient. They went out and they went after it. A lot of that has to do with the culture that was made by their past coach Megan Myers, who's at Red Storm too. Like she had a great hand in that. But yeah, they were just really go after it kind of kids. So like when we needed something, they kind of like we fundraised for it. We went out and we tried our best to get it and
right,
stuff like that. And what we didn't have, or when we didn't have it, I mean, we tried to accommodate for it or improvise. And how can we do what we need to do with what we have? I example, we lacked the outside hitter, and that's one of the biggest parts. So I remember watching some film before I really accepted the job there, and they had a libero. He's left-handed, and she was doing hitting lines. I mean, she hit that ball, and it didn't go down. It flew to the back of the gym. But she had some hops, man. I mean, it was amazing. So I think one day in practice, we were gonna let her play right side just for fun, and I got to thinking, well, what if we put a lefty on the outside?
yeah,
What does that look like? And that way she could play defense, six rotation all the way around, but yet we still had a hitter,
right,
and that was amazing. We had a phenomenal year, like the record may not show it, but like how those kids maneuvered, how they overcame barriers and obstacles. I think my favorite game of that season was when we played Central High School in Baton Rouge.
right,
I mean, we came out guns blazing. Central was like, "What is going on here?" And it was awesome. So I think at a little school like that, you have to know. First of all, you have to know what you have,
right,
and you have to really use it to your advantage, right? Like another little school like that is like Assumption. They're super super small, but man, those are some gritty kids.
yes,
They go after it. They're hard workers, and they don't try to bang balls. They place balls. They win because they outlast you, and that's really
right,
what the little schools like St. John and Catholic Point and Assumption. That's how they really are.
right. I agree with that 100%, man. I like from that vantage point, small school system that competes really hard. Assumption and Lutcher come to mind for me because, like I say, they outlast you, man. They're gonna get some digs that you be like, man, she got that, and then it's a repeated, repetitive cycle of catching dig. I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but it's how I'm gonna verbalize it. They be catching them digs, man, and
Oh yeah.
it's just amazing to see. When you think about creating a player that you may need, what's the first steps in creating a outside hitter or a defensive specialist or even a setter? How much goes into producing the kind of kid that is going to yield results for your program?
Yeah, no, we're going through that. Last year we graduated two senior setters. So right now we're grooming setters right now to come in and play varsity. Um, First, it's the kid has to want it, right? You can't force a kid to want to do it. If they
Right,
don't have the drive and determination to go after it, they're not going to do it to the fullest of their ability. I think that kid also has to be okay with being held accountable for actions. for
Right.
one. I also think that you have to give them a little bit of grace because they're learning,
Right.
and you have
Right.
to give them a lot of high praise, right? So when they do that good thing, it has to be louder than the the constructive criticism you've been giving them.
Right.
And that's kind of how you see their confidence go up. They try new things. They're okay with failing because they know they're getting closer to the end goal. And I think as a whole, that's what we've been trying to do here at Covington is trust the process.
Right.
Because the outcome always takes care of itself, but the process is forever changing. So
Man, small school, small school um, doesn't yield as many athletes that may possibly want to play volleyball as a big school. When you think about the disparities in the kid gap, the number of kids, shall I say, how do you use what you learn at a point P in the stressors of not having 45 to 50 kids throughout the entirety of your program versus having to just work with the 22, 23 kids and there's nobody coming to save anyone.
yeah, I think big thing. So at schools like Catholic Point could be St. John, any of those Catholic or Christian schools like Dunham, any of those schools who have K that are K through 12 or 7th through 12th, you really have to go in and you have to create grassroots programs. So for me at Catholic, I started third and fourth grade volleyball, and
Okay.
I knew that I needed to let the kids love the sport young so that they would want to play volleyball as they got older.
Right.
And when they got into fifth and sixth grade, we really tried to start to teach them three contacts, right? I think the biggest thing that Louisiana has to get out of, especially in our middle schools, is we have to stop trying to win so much and develop,
Right.
right? There, like in Texas, I remember in high school coaches, you run here, what are you doing in high school? What would you like me to, right? And I think um, that's how it should be. Your middle school coach should want to connect with your high school coach because you are the gateway, for that high school coach. So, what are we teaching our middle schoolers? What are we doing for them to make sure that they're getting the best thing in high school? Like, I shouldn't get a ninth grader who
Right.
doesn't know what base is, right? Like those are the little things we have to kind of start moving towards, and instead of just the tennis match of volleyball, one and over, one and over, you know. But really just have the kids fall in love with the sport early and then start to develop them as they grow. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense at all. But that's
Absolutely.
kind of what I get out of that.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad you brought up development. Um, you see now on the club level, volleyball starts 8, 9 years old. Uh,
Right.
what I want to make sure I get this right. Is is there a difference in is there a difference in the age they should start playing club travel ball, or should at 8, 9, 10 years old they just play in a house league that because volleyball is expensive,
Right.
play in a house league and get skill development that way, and that way it's no pressure of, like you said, having to win at the younger ages.
Yeah. I think for sure, the younger they start, the better they will be. You see in Louisiana, we have Pee Wee football, right? We
Right.
have flag football. We have T-ball, softball. We like these kids are starting 3, 4, and 5, and we're encouraging that, which is great. right? We love softball here at Catholic. That was big softball there too. You know, I'm not a coach that is going to discourage a kid from playing another sport, because it kind of all ties together, which I'll talk about in a second too. But um, you have to, I believe, like my sister started when we could financially do it. She started, I want to say around 9. So
Right.
she's been playing. She's almost 12. Like they have to start young. You see people like the young lady at Mad Frogs, right? Like she's been playing since she was like 7 or 8, or even younger. And
Right.
now she is flying through the air. She's bouncing balls as on a 12 team. Like you really, and I have an outside like that. She's been playing since she was 5 years old, and that's the end result of it. She's not like this because she's super athletic. Well, I have
Right.
super athletic kids here at Covington High, but she's been playing since she was 5 years old.
Right.
So I think we have to, even the money situation. Like I know not everyone. Look, I mean, we, like, even my own family. Like for my sister, we don't always have the funds to do club, but it's vital, right?
Right.
So especially for the kids whose parents are already dishing out thousands of dollars to go travel to do, um, travel softball and baseball.
Right.
Like you're already doing it. There are places that are cheaper and you can still get good quality training.
Right.
So I say you should try it. What do you have to lose? Go out, try it for a year or a season. If you don't like it, don't return.
Right.
But I think we definitely have to get kids started earlier. That's one thing. When I was at Baton Rouge High, I was doing an internship with the student activities for EBR,
Yeah.
and for my senior project, we tried to implement elementary sports. So first, second, and third grade, playing volleyball, baseball, tennis, and soccer, like stuff like that. Because first of all, it helps get those kids, especially in EBR, it helps get them involved. They're not doing things they probably shouldn't be doing. And then you grow the sport and you grow the love, and then you have people going into schools like Tara and Bel Air, and like they kind of know what they're doing now.
Right.
They're not getting to those schools that late and not really knowing how to play volleyball.
Right.
So I think the earlier you start is the better, honestly.
Man, when you look at, like, for me, the volleyball that, and I talk to people about this all the time. The volleyball that we played when I was growing up, that just doesn't exist anymore. Like,
Yeah.
that game was fun, but it was so much slower. When you look at how much the speed of the game has changed, and like I said, these young ladies, they're super athletic. One person that comes to mind is the Parkview Middle blocker, Yanzi. Um,
Yeah. Times,
she,
yes.
she's 5'8", 5'9", but she jumps as if she has a 6'5" frame, 6'6" frame, and
Right.
she's not making waves. She's making the thing that the surfers ride when they're going up on a big wave. Like, how do you get kids to understand that this learning and getting to the place of being able to play faster, and so that the game slows down for them? How do you teach a kid that component of the game?
I think there are some things like that. I mean, there are some things you can't teach, like jumping out the gym, right? Um, but I think there are things you can do. So like on with a kid like the Times girl, she does jump out the gym, right?
Right.
So one thing with our blockers, and we got a lot of good block touches on her when we played at their team camp yesterday. Um, it's delaying the block, right? It's not, we don't want to just try to go and get her quick. Like she hangs in the air.
Right.
So delay, go up and press, and that's kind of what we did, and that's what you have to do, right? You may not have the most athletic children, and that's okay.
Right.
Know what's in your arsenal, know what's in your tool belt, and morph the game around what you have. Especially like here at Covington, we're trying to get our game super fast. We have every piece we need here, and we're just trying to get them all to fit and mold together.
Right.
And that's kind of how you have to do at your school. You may not have the kid who is, super, super tall, super, super athletic, but they put up a block. You know what I mean? So just use them. You don't have to be a super, super like high jumper to go and extend the tape and get block touches.
Right.
Or you don't have to bang balls. You just have to place balls, like we talked about with assumption. It's all about what can I do at my school or with my kids, even in club, that we can have a successful time. Like you can pull in some beach stuff. We teach um high line, right? Like we're not trying to always get bangers. We're trying to place balls high down the line, stuff like that, and cut shots, just different things that, what can we use in different ways to extend our arsenal here.
Right.
So,
Man, we love to see the ball set really high. And like you said, a young lady is flying and she whips the arm and the rocket flies down. But let's talk a little bit about the greatness that happens with the defensive specialist and the libero. Um, what goes into a kid becoming that player defensively?
so we teach a lot of being patient in defense.
Okay.
A lot of people don't teach that. They kind of want it just to be super quick. And I'm learning that if we slow down in the back row instead of being just spastic and kind of chaotic, if we get to touch point, right, and
Right.
then we make the read and we let the angle of our platform do the work, that we don't have to do a whole bunch.
Right.
Um, I think it also comes with a lot of playing. Reading where people are hitting is not easy, but there are different ways. I've learned. Different people have told me, look to where you can see the number of her jersey, read her shoulder, read her hand, pinky up, thumb down, like all that kind of things. There's a lot of different tricks you can use to kind of identify. Drop the elbow means tip, and if it's pulled back, then she's probably about to rip. And just helping your kids, give them the tools they need to see, but then also encourage them. It's not always about doing physically, it's about watching, right? So we encourage our kids, hey, go home and watch Nebraska volleyball, go home and watch
Right.
Louisville, go watch LSU, go watch Southeastern, like go watch people who are doing this and really extend your IQ and your knowledge.
Right.
My arrow from here at Covington, she has gotten so much better with coverage, with tips, with defense. And I can tell you one thing, like I do the defense that I learned at Red Storm, right? And that's not the defense that people on the North Shore here do.
Right.
So that's been a huge fight. And and I feel like I didn't give her the tools needed at first to be successful in that defense. But now that I have, she's flourishing in it. She is
Right.
going above and beyond, and um, they're loving it. So I'm really grateful. Just the things I've learned and I can pass on to pastors and stuff like that. And we've also incorporated a lot of things that I see on like social media. There are endless opportunities and like different ways that you can find new information. You just have to go out and look and seek for it.
Man, you took a big leap of faith. You were at Point Capee. Uh, you make the jump to Covington. Was there any fear in you applying for that job, or from an internal perspective, were you like, yeah, I'm going to get this one? What was that moment like for you?
There were a couple schools that I had applied for. Um, that I kind of was wanting because they were kind of closer to Baton Rouge, family and friends and whatnot. But I had a friend here at Covington, and we were childhood friends. I was best friends with her little brother, and she, who is now my assistant here at Covington High School. And she never said, hey, like come apply. I kind of asked her about it, like, hey, so what's going on, like why'd your coach leave, like what's how's the admin,
Right.
just getting like the internal, when you have a N, you want to use it, right?
Right.
um so I wasn't sure, and I actually, honestly, truly, I kind of forgot. I went on vacation and I forgot about, like, hitting send on the application thing. So I went on vacation. Actually, what happened was I went on vacation, and then we had nationals with 15 Nat that year. Who's now 16 Nat at Red Storm now. And by the time I got back, it was 4th of July. So then by the time I really reached out and stuff, I was waiting on them to well, not just them, but like the process to kind of handle itself,
Right.
interviews and whatnot, and approval from central office and stuff like that. But it was a leap of faith. Um, didn't have a place to stay. I really didn't know what I was gonna do. I came up here for new teacher orientation and like just the support I had from family and people in the community. Like someone said, "Hey, we have a new coach. He needs a place to stay." And I mean, I left new teacher orientation with a place to stay. You
Right.
know, so it really was like the Lord. Honestly, just favor when I didn't think favor was going to be found. So it's been a great opportunity and an amazing experience here at Covington High School.
Hey, I bet that definitely was a big burden off your shoulder.
Oh yeah,
You're thinking once you accept the job, oh, I'm gonna have to drive an hour and a half to Covington every day for maybe a month, and then
right,
like that, you get, like you said, God intervenes and supersedes your thoughts, your fears, and your
right.
emotions, and that definitely makes you feel welcome and wanted, I'm sure. Um, now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing, man. And this is why I say you're a trendsetter and an innovator. You get to Covington, volleyball is fair. Um, I think you inherit a pretty decent team. I like what I saw from you guys in the events I saw you guys playing last year. Uh, what were your first initial thoughts on meeting your new team?
Yeah, I came in that first practice and the team wasn't there yet, but my senior setter was, and I remember um I was a setter, right? So when I get the opportunity to work with setters and do stuff like that, it's like it lights up the room. I love it. So she was going in for extra reps, and I got to get a little one-on-one time with her, and we kind of just connected, and it kind of was really exciting, right? To see like, okay, I don't have to go out and train setters. I tell you this, setters is the hardest thing to train, in my opinion,
Okay,
especially setters for me, because like I said, I am a setter and I know what it's supposed to look like and I know how it's supposed to happen, and I want it to be great. You know, so seeing that I didn't have to like go hand to the plow, because at Catholic Park P, like I was like getting this seventh grade setter ready, and like she's playing now, she's amazing, she's awesome, she's doing great work. But that was like 2 seasons of work getting that setter to where she needed to be ready for varsity play. So to
right,
come into Covington and see, the setters were okay and decent, and they just needed a couple fine tunings. It was good. I think the one thing that this team from last year kind of struggled with was mentality.
right,
Right? They had not had a coach stay in like the past 4 years. So they've had a new coach almost every year until I got here. This is my second year. I plan on staying as long as the admin will have me, of course. Which, to my knowledge, is good. But no, they're thrilled. I mean, that my admin, I have the best admin like ever. This is like the best I've ever had. They are supportive. They tell me to go for it. They let me chase dreams and whatnot, and so forth. But yeah, the mentality of our team was just kind of like all over the place. You
right,
know, uh, there was a little bit of uncertainty. The seniors, they, like I said, they have had a different head coach every year of their college career. So there was a little bit of uncertainty, and honestly, it wasn't until the latter half of the season that they kind of bought in a little bit, and we started to see things change. We switched some things up. Covington in the past, like when the year before, they were maybe 28 and like 10, like phenomenal year, but the caliber of the teams were not great, and that's one thing I wanted to change here, is that we're not going out and playing the easy teams that we're trying to gear towards the medium and the excellent teams. Like we should be winning, against little 1A, 2As.
Right.
We should be more than competing with 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
You know, so that's one thing we've changed. Like this year, the caliber is crazy. I woke up and chose violence for some reason. Like first game is Saint Scholastica, second game is Slidell. I just woke up and said, "Hey, we're going after it this year, and either you're gonna get on board or we're just gonna be 0-43. So that's like either we're gonna have to get on it or go.
Bruh.
So
Hey, you just
that's
you just destroyed, man. You just really destroyed. You said I woke up and chose violence when making the schedule.
pretty much.
Man,
Pretty much.
Slidell's pretty. I don't think I've seen them yet. I don't think I've seen them yet, but it's still early. Slidell was extremely good last year. Saint Scholastica, really good. I want to say this, man, and it's with the no disrespect to North Louisiana volleyball, which is in the embryo stages, I think. I don't be disrespectful to them at all. No disrespect to a lot of the teams from Lafayette down to Baton Rouge, Ascension, St. James, what is LaPlace is East St. John. But when you cross, when you get on the bridge heading to New Orleans, volleyball is just different. When you look at the Dominions, the Dominicans, the Mount Carmels, the St. Mary's, Randy Newman School. Oh no, not John Curtis. When you look at all those schools, they're just uniquely different from a defensive perspective. And a lot of those schools don't have the 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" girls, but they win a lot.
Right.
Give us a notion or your notion on why you think that is.
Man, that's so true. I remember my first time coming to the state tournament here as a spectator, of course, here in Louisiana. And I was like, I kept hearing about Mount Carmel, Dominican. And I remember like going to watch and I was like, okay, like, let's see what's going on. And I knew about St. Joe's already because that was my district when I was at Baton Rouge High, of course.
Right.
So like that was fun, of course, to be around. But I remember seeing Mount Carmel and I was like, what, like this is Mount Carmel. This is the school, like a bunch of I kid you not, a bunch of little girls, in brown Nike shorts and gold jerseys. Like, I mean, all love to the the uniform, but I mean those little girls, they're small, but then you start watching them. And I mean, they're flying everywhere. I mean, they're here, they're there, they're covering up. There's no ball that is not going to be touched. Like they go untouched. And it was just interesting to see like these kids that get up, they use their tools to their advantage, and it was just something you don't see. But I like to say that Louisiana is so unique because there are, I want to say, 5 or 6 different styles of volleyball being played within one state.
Okay.
And so you have the North Shore, right? You have over here. This has been super fast volleyball. It's been great. Okay, you have New Orleans. Okay, and they kind of go back and forth in the North Shore and New Orleans because they are by each other. So those kids overlap a little bit. But then you have the Thibodeau, Homa, the South. I mean, those are some gritty kids, just like nasty, go for it. Then you have the Baton Rouge / Point Capee and all those, outskirts. That's a different style. Then you have Lafayette. Then you have Northern Louisiana and Lake Charles. Like there's the volleyball being played is so different in each area, and it's just like when you get to the state tournament, you get to see them all duke it out for a chance for of a lifetime. Um, and it's just
I,
weird, you know.
I can't even lie, Coach, because and she's been now. Don't get me wrong, she's been, but I can't go until she gets there. I just can't. Like, I'm so afraid of that moment because I know once I go in my mind, the way my crazy mind works, I'm gonna need to see her playing and competing in that environment, and I don't want to. I don't want to set myself up for failure. Uh, how much? How much love as a volleyball coach have you received in your short stint at Covington? And I only ask this because your school is the first one in the state that I heard of that have said, "Come on, boys, we're going to bring y'all into volleyball world." Uh, and so, therefore, you have to be well loved for kids to want to. And you got some really tough kids that have bought into boys volleyball at Covington. How was that feeling for you to have? I think you said it was like 150 boys that tried out.
Yeah, we had a lot. It was so definitely closer, a little lower than that, like maybe 80 kids for sure, which is still phenomenal for a
Yeah,
boys tryout. Um, we like I said earlier, my administration has been so go like just go get them. They're like go after what you want here, create a program here, and they back me. Like um, I had an incident where I had a parent meeting, and I didn't have here at Covington. I don't have a lot of parent meetings, honestly. I have great, great, great parents who give, they give everything.
right.
But the parents came in and they voiced, some things that they wanted to see different, which I'm always open to hearing, because sometimes as a coach, you do need to hear some things, but you always take it with a grain of salt, of course, right? And my admin, they were like, we hear you and we want you to feel heard and validated, but this Coach Coker, has a job here as long as he wants one here. And to receive backing like that versus to against like parents is it's crazy, honestly, because
Right.
in today's world you don't hear that a lot.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
just being here at Covington High has been amazing. They've told me, like I said, go after it. So when I was presented with this idea to do the boys, it came from the coach Jody at St. Paul's. He used to be at Mandeville, and he was saying, "Hey, we have a powder puff team here from when we did powder puff. Like where the girls coach the boys, and like powder puff
Okay.
football, where the girls play football. That
Right.
you know, um, they said, we still have a little team. Why don't you put something together?" And we'll get Mandeville on board, and Woodlawn and Baton Rouge had one because Capital City has boys there. And I said, at first I was like, no, like I don't have the time, which honestly, truly, I did not have the time. Um, you know, Going to Red Storm, that's an hour there, an hour back. Like it was tough. I will tell you this, but um, I thought I stopped. I think I was on the way to Red Storm one day, and I really thought about it, and I said, the teenage me would have killed to play high school volleyball. So how could I deny another kid, another boy, that opportunity to play the sport that he loves?
Right.
So I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work, but I'm gonna say yes, and I did that. We posted for it. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get 5 kids. I don't know if I was gonna get 50 kids.
Right.
But we really had a huge, huge, huge wave of support, not only from the students, but from the parents and the community, and just they loved it. Um, and we were able to make 2 teams. We kind of kept them even. At the end, we kind of merged the team, as a new program, it doesn't always go the way that you would imagine or plan.
Right.
But so by the end, we had one really, really great team, that just with, kids leaving and being like, this maybe isn't for me and whatnot. It's been really great. And it's opened a lot of doors for me. So I'm excited to see where that goes in the future.
When you look at the club volleyball scene, okay, stay with me right here. It may take me a minute to get there. Um, I've seen where they're integrating more boys age groups into the girls event, in certain areas where they host tournaments at. How much more of a thing, or how long before will we see boys volleyball incorporated in the high school here in the state of Louisiana?
In the state of Louisiana, it's a great question. I think first there has to be a huge demand, right? So we know of Bayou Boys. I'm starting a club here in Covington for boys. SPVC in Baton Rouge has boys. Red Storm has had a couple boys come through. There has to be a need and a want for it, and there has to be someone who's willing to coach it, right? So if I think the one thing that's giving us a lot of pushback right now is the coaches. They don't it coaching girls in general, especially that long of a season is a lot, right? So girls volleyball, that's a huge season. We hit the ground running in May and we don't get off until November, honestly. So to go from May to November and then turn around and have to coach January to May, like that's a lot. So I think we won't really see boys volleyball here on the high school level until there's a huge, huge, huge like boom in the business of it on the club side, and until we have principals going, to the LHSAA saying, "Hey, we have a great interest here in high school." St. Tammany Parish is right on the cusp of it. I would tell you that we have boys volleyball in our middle schools. So we have it, and the kids want to play. So I know there's places like Catholic of Baton Rouge who has sand volleyball, and some of the other diocesan schools in New Orleans has it. Um, but if I had to give you a timeline, I would definitely say within the next 10 years, we will have boys volleyball. But depending on the need, I would say within if it's going great and it's growing, I would say 4 to 5 years from now.
Okay. Okay. Great response, man. I think it's very integral, uh, from just the love of the game. Again, I played volleyball, but the volleyball I played doesn't exist anymore. And I've been challenged, in my love for high school sports. You know, you got to give it all you got. Like,
Right.
and so I think what made it easier was knowing people who play volleyball, knowing coaches who coach volleyball, knowing parents, and I've met some really wonderful parents, um, on the AAU circuit and in high school as well, that go all out for volleyball. You can't tell them that volleyball isn't the only sport in the world, or at least the only one that matters to them. And
Right.
so volleyball is progressively growing, across the state of Louisiana. North Louisiana, y'all come on, catch up, man. I'm telling you, a couple years ago, the first time I watched Airline, the first time I watched Benton, this past school year, watching Calvary, um, ladies at the Baton Rouge tournament those young ladies are working their butts off. Ruston, whose coach just is transfer the right word? Uh, she's at
Yeah, I
Cinnamon
mean,
now.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucy Hunt. Yeah. So just real quick about Lucy, man, she's phenomenal,
Yes.
and I think that it's going to be such a great move for Lucy going over to SCA Santa Maria. I think it's going to be awesome for her. Those kids are excited. I know those parents are excited. It's just a great opportunity. She has grown the sport of volleyball up in North Louisiana like no
Yes.
one's business, and especially like with the help of Amanda, who is taking over at Ruston.
Right.
So I know that it's in great hands. There are people up there. A good friend of mine named Reese Altman. He's up there growing a club up there right now.
Right.
And they have rocket fuel. It's not for a lack of wanting. I think it's a lack of knowledge, honestly.
Right.
So I
It's
think
gonna get better though.
they're gonna grow.
Yeah, I really believe that. Again, I think my alma mater just added volleyball. Wiseman High School just added volleyball.
It
Uh,
did, yeah,
Marksville just added volleyball.
yeah.
Prairieville, the new high school, they have volleyball. Coach McEwen, who was at Saint Amant, is now the head coach at Prairieville. I want to do this real quick. I know this is your interview, but I was able to attend uh, day 2 of the LBCA. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
LBCA, Louisiana Volleyball Coaches Association Volleyball Coaches Camp. Because you guys invite a whole bunch of the kids who you guys think are the best players around the state. Coaches get to nominate their kids um, to come compete. College coaches are there. I thought that was really wonderful. But the thing that really amazed me the most was Coach Ricks brought in University of Louisiana at Lafayette volleyball head coach and one of her assistants um, to do a camp for you guys. How much does getting firsthand information from a head coach at the college level help you become a better volleyball coach?
I think it's great. Like we with the LVCA, we vote about who we would like to try to get, who is open to coming to speak with us. And like Tulane came this year to speak in the convention, and she was phenomenal. Really hit the nail on the head, talking about the mental side of the game. But like Christy Gray, she came and spoke. I think if not last year, the year before. But she came this year to do the on court stuff. I loved it. She definitely helped me out with some new setter warm up drills and stuff like that. I think for me, and like I said, look, I'm not the end all be all of volleyball, you know, no matter what people may think, but I love to learn, and I think it's nice to get confirmation that I'm on the right track, and that's kind of what's been happening with, I helped run LSU camp, team camp, and I got to sit in on a Q&A with Tanya Johnson, um, and it's confirmation that I'm on the right track. We're doing the right things in our gyms and stuff like that. To see UL and LSU, and even talking to Jeremy White at Southeastern, um, who he's kind of helped me a lot when it comes to the mentality of what a practice should look like now.
Right.
But it's a lot of confirmation. It's great to see like we're on the right track. She demonstrated the split step, and I thought that was awesome because we've been practicing that in our gym. Split step, outside of body passing, stuff like that. Just a lot of different things that I'm amazed that we here at Covington High School are doing, and that practicing towards, and that's the same thing D1 athletes are doing. So
Right. With,
it's
with
awesome.
with the advancement of volleyball comes exposure.
Right.
Um, how much are you putting to getting your girls more exposure?
So like this summer season, I told the kids that the summer season was going to be really important for us, for two things, right? First and foremost, a lot of learning. They did not have me last summer. right? This is the first time they've had me through the whole entire year and through the whole entire season.
Right.
So they're learning me, right? And not only that, but they're getting to learn what I want, what I expect.
Right.
So that's the first reason, like it's so important. Second thing I put our summer season together very strategically, meaning we we had different scrimmage days. Like we did a scrimmage day with Hannon and Fountain Blue, and we did a scrimmage day with Northlake, and we like today we had a little scrimmage day with Academy of Sacred Heart of NOLA. You know, different things like that. Going to LSU camp, we go to Country Day team camp. This week like I said earlier, we went to Parkview team camp. It's all strategic. Honestly, I want people to see my kids. I want people to see what we're doing here at Covington. I want them to see the growth that these kids have put in the hard work for.
Right.
Because not only that, but I'm very honest, and I'm not a prideful person at all. But I have kids who belong on Allstate, and I think they deserve to be seen. So I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure my kids are getting a fighting chance.
Right.
Because I'll tell you this, and people may disagree with me on it, but I compete in one of the hardest districts in Louisiana. Fountain Blue, North Shore, Slidell, Mandeville, Hammond, Ponchatoula, and us. That is a hard district.
Yes.
And no, we may not have a private school in it, but that is you come take your team and come play Fountain Blue, and you let me know how it goes.
Right.
You come take your team and play Slidell High School, and you like tell me how it is.
And
You know,
Mandeville.
yeah,
Mandeville
and
has
Mandeville, who just reloaded. I remember I was like thinking about what they lost, and I love Rachel. She's awesome. She's a good friend of mine now. Over at Mandeville, and I'm thinking like this is our year.
they
For
were
Covington,
big.
this is our year. But man, they reloaded with some young, talented freshmen. They are huge in the middle, on the outside, on the pins, and stuff like that. Like it goes to show what we have here on the North Shore. Like we have a endless supply of kids who love the sport, who are huge. They're tall, athletic. They love it. They're getting great training with HVA and Infinity South and WD. You have it all here. You know, so not to go on that tangent, but
Hey, no, you
everything's
good, man.
strategic.
Hey. You are a phenomenal coach. And once I make my mind up about something, that's it. Nobody's gonna change it. Ask the people that know me. The things that I am passionate about, damn it, the hell what everybody else thinks. And uh, you're going to be a state championship coach sooner than later. Um, just wait, just wait about 2 more years before you go to win. And I got somebody else that I want to see win first. All right.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Nah, man. You're gonna win sooner than later, though. Passion and determination leads your fight every single day. Okay, from you that I'm not gonna repeat on air because I wasn't ear hustling, but I think it was a moment of passion that came out of you, and you were a little louder than you normally speak in the huddle. And so, again, passion is your leading force. It's also your greatest strength. And don't lose that ever. But I got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. I promise to you, I'm going to give that 1 minute and 30 seconds to you. So,
So just overall, like I just want to say thank you for having me on. If there's anything like I want to convey to people is like I'm not obsessed with the wins and losses. I want my kids to be successful. I want my kids to love the sport, and I want them to be better human beings than before they came. We have three things in our gym that we like to talk about. Is a standard of excellence, okay, that we do 110% no matter what,
right,
and then relentless pursuit, and that we move in great heart posture. You only get one time to make a first impression, and that's what we kind of go for. We want to have great heart posture. We want people to say, hey, like, that's Covington High. Like, that's them. They don't know us by, Covington on our chest, but they know us by our actions
right.
and our sportsmanship. And that's what we're building here. There's a standard of excellence. And I'll tell you one thing, there's a stigma about our school. And we have 5 schools here in Covington. I'm not going to name them all, but they go from 1A to 5A, and we're 5A.
Right.
This is a great school. Don't listen to what people say. Come be a part because we want to have you and we love you. So
Right. Man, thank you. Hey, I think this is only my third or fourth, maybe fifth volleyball head coach interview, but this hour went by too fast. Thank you.
right, I agree.
Thank you. Right. It's so much more swimming in my head. I gotta get another volleyball coach on the interview, man. I'm becoming more and more fascinated with volleyball. Like those girls work their cans off. You coaches give every fiber of your being to help these young ladies get better. Again, state of Louisiana, let's grow the game. Let's continue to grow the game. Get boys volleyball here in the state. We're going to be better for it. Thank you guys for joining us. Remember, get off the bench, get into the game.